Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Govinda Vallabha Giri Bharadari Govinda Vallabha Giri Bharadari Govinda Vallabha Giri Bharadari Govinda Vallabha Giri Bharadari Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Govinda Vallabha Giri Bharadari 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 Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Hare ISKCON Centre
Jai.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So welcome back to Journey of Saint Story programs. So today we have a special guest. His Holiness Ramai Swami Maharaj. Haribo. So brief introduction of Maharaj. Maharaj is actually, you have just heard a very sweet and melodious kirtan. He is famous for his kirtans as well as his short and very meaningful classes. Maharaj is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. When Maharaj was studying music in Australia in 1971, he read Back to Godhead magazine and he got attracted to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And he started associating with devotees at that time, and then later on he got initiated in Melbourne in 1973. Maharaj took sannyas vows in Mayapur, India in 1982. Maharaj is following this path of bhakti, as we can see, for more than 50 years, 52 years and above. He has served Srila Prabhupada's mission in various different capacities. In earlier days, he was leading the bus party distributing books. Then he was a temple president for Auckland Temple, Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, and so many other places. He is also part of governing body commission responsible for managing ISKCON in Australia and New Zealand, and few other parts of the world, of course. He has also been chairman for the GBC multiple times, and he has served in many other administrative positions. And today is a very auspicious day as well. It is the appearance day of Advaita Prabhu, Advaita Acarya, as you can see in the picture. Do you know where is Advaita Acarya? In the white? Okay. So it is Advaita Acharya's appearance day, and Maharaj has nicely agreed for us to enlighten all of us on the topic of appearance day of Advaita Acharya. So let us welcome Maharaj by loudly chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for having me here this evening, and thank you, Ambarish Maharaj, for organizing this wonderful program. You'll have every Saturday, or every Saturday? And Friday you have a program?
Yeah, Friday.
Same time?
No, at different houses.
Different hours. So, as Ambarish Maharaj mentioned, today is the wonderful anniversary of the appearance of Advaita Acarya. And I asked that this evening we put the picture of the Pancha Tattva. Of course, the Tattva means the transcendental truth. And the Pancha Tattva, Pancha means the 5 transcendental truths. So there, of course, in the middle, who is that in the middle there?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we have to his right, who is that? And on our left side, Gadadhar. And who is in the white? Advaita Acharya and Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur has one brother. He's named Srivas Pandit. He has one brother. He has 4 brothers. There are 4 brothers, and one other brother is Ramai Pandit. Because I'm not the Pandit, but I think I got the name Ramai Das, so I'm the servant of the Pandit. So his brother, younger brother, is Ramai. So my name is Ramai. I was initiated by Srila Prabhupada, and he gave the name of Ramai. Which is the Ramai, which is like the Bengali for Ram. Sometimes he is referred to as Sri Ram, his younger brother Sri Ram. So Ramai is like the Bengali for Ram, Lord Ram. So we have these great personalities, and it's important now. I'm going to explain a little bit about these personalities because Srila Prabhupada, he thought very important to understand Pancha Tattva, the 5 categories of the transcendental truth and transcendental knowledge, and come as these 5 personalities. And indeed, before Srila Prabhupada, first of all, he was doing, if you read the life history of Prabhupada, when he was doing Back to Godhead magazine, and he was distributing, and then he was he started to translate and comment on Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, then he did it in different parts, and he had the 3 parts: first canto part 1, first canto part 2, part 3, and I think now it's just the 1 part. One big book. But when you see the original Srimad Bhagavatam of Srila Prabhupada, there was the 3 parts, and indeed for a long time we were distributing the first canto in the 3 parts, and so when he did that, and when he went to America, he brought those Bhagavatam. He brought some Bhagavatam sets with him that he had already done in India, and so he brought those Bhagavatam sets. So he had them. He sold some of them, and later on he did Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita as it is. And when you read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, you can, if you read the introduction, at the end of Prabhupada's introduction to Bhagavad Gita as it is, you can see it was dated in Sydney in 1972, when Prabhupada, 72 or 73, I think 72, when he was visiting Sydney. 72, I can't remember exactly. But one of those days, but it was Sydney. He just finished it and he dated it like that. So when we were just young devotees, we would be selling Prabhupada's books. In the beginning, we just had Back to Godhead, and Prabhupada had already done Sri Ishopanishad. Before I became a full-time devotee, I had read Bhakti Godhead and I read Sri Ishopanishad. Sri Ishopanishad especially was very convincing for me as far as the personality of Godhead and the importance of the spiritual life. So when we were young, we were distributing, and before Prabhupada had the big Gita, there was the abridged Macmillan's version, just small Gita. And so it wasn't until later on that Prabhupada finished the introduction. I think the next year he published and put into print. So when we were first starting the distribution, we were just distributing mainly Back to Godheads. And then we had some Ishopanishads like that. And then we started to distribute some Bhagavad Gita. And then we got Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada had only done the first canto. So we were selling the first canto. So Prabhupada was still translating while he was traveling all over the world. He would be sitting in his room, I remember in Melbourne, but everywhere he went, he would be getting up early in the morning. And maybe 12:30 at night, a.m., 1 a.m. And he would, before Mangalat, he would be doing his work translating Srimad Bhagavatam, early morning hours. And so gradually he did the second canto. So then when that was printed, then we would distribute the second canto. And I think in those days also second canto was 1 and 2. And so we were distributing as he was writing them, and we were selling them. And so that was a very wonderful experience. So when a new book came, it was a wonderful experience for us, because now we got the second. We didn't have the other parts of the Bhagavatam, but then not only could we get it and read it, but we could also sell it for a Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada encouraged us to sell Bhagavad Gita and Back to Godhead. Of course, we always did. In the beginning, we were just going Harinam mainly. Sometimes you see we go on the Harinam in the street. So in the beginning, we would just go Harinam, just a party. And the devotees would do Harinam, and there'd be 2 or 3 devotees standing nearby selling Bhakti Godhead. And then they'd switch, they'd go on the Harinam, the other devotee would go. And all day long we were doing like that. And we would go different places in the cities and so on and so forth. But then gradually we got the Ishopanishad, we got some other books also, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and then we got the second canon that we distributed. And then we got the third canon, we'd wait for it. And like that. So we didn't have a Chaitanya Charitamrita, any Prabhupada had put out TLC, the Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and he put out one other book beforehand called Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. This was a small book that Prabhupada thought very important because he didn't know whether he would live to do the translation and commentary on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and get that published and printed. He actually told his disciples, I don't know if I want to do Chaitanya Charitamrita. First of all, I want to do Bhagavatam, but simultaneously I can also do. But then Prabhupada, these great acharyas like Prabhupada, we read about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how one time he was a magistrate and he got a transfer to Krishnagar, and he got a furlough, and 2 years furlough. And in that 2 years, he was traveling with some associates doing preaching and establishing Namahatta. He would go and do kirtan, give lecture. And in that time, I think he did, he translated and commented on 18 books. 18 books in 2 years he did. And so the acharyas are so wonderful. They can do traveling and preaching and starting centers, and then simultaneously he was translating. And so Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Goswami, Jiva Goswami, especially the other morning we were telling about Raghunath Das Goswami, or some description of Raghunath Das Goswami. These are very, very elevated devotees, exalted, Nitya Siddha, liberated persons. They are empowered with what Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Bhakti Shakti. With the Bhakti Shakti, automatically you get the Vidya, and automatically you get what Bhaktivinoda called Ananda. These two things will come from Bhakti Shakti. Ananda means transcendental bliss. Vidya, of course, means transcendental knowledge. So when you get the Bhakti Shakti, and this Bhakti Shakti, especially at the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, came from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhakti Shakti, and if you are very fortunate, you will get prema, love of the God. Love of God. So Prabhupada put out this book called Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, just a small book, and he had that published and printed, and we were distributing it. Before we had Chaitanya Charitamrita, I remember myself and many other devotees, we were selling so many of these small books. He thought it a very important subject matter on understanding Lord Chaitanya, because it was very popular, especially in the Western country, but also India and in Asia, the idea that the spiritual life is just the light, that's the Brahman. Spiritual life means just Brahman, Brahma Jyoti, or the Buddhists, they have the void, you come to perfection means the nirvana, the void, like in another impersonalist. So this was very popular all over the world, and save for India, of course, they had some idea in India, but also in India, these philosophies, Mayavad philosophies, the followers of Sankaracharya, was very, very popular. So Prabhupada wanted to establish the principle of the personal Godhead, Krishna. Not only is the transcendental position Brahman, Brahmajyoti, but more. There is Paramatma, God in the heart. There is energy, light, that is Brahman. That's certainly one level. And many were saying only is that. There is nothing other. All the world is illusion. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya was very popular. Brahma Satya means Brahman, that is the truth. And Jagat, this world, that is false, illusion. So that was very popular. That was a popular slogan, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. And so there's only that thing, that everything in this world illusion, personality is illusion. God, it is not personality. There's no personality, God is everywhere. Why are you looking for God? You are the God. You are God, I am the God, where everyone is the God. And so, but now you don't understand this thing, but when you become realized, you will know that you are the God. And so this is, but the God means just the energy. We are all God, same God. That's the energy. You want to give name of God, all right, but it's just energy. So that's very, very popular. Majority of people will follow. So Prabhupada and all the great Vaishnava acharyas are very much pushing on, no, you can go higher. And actually there's higher level. Bhagavan Paramatma, within our heart, there is Krishna in the form, Vishnu form, four-handed Vishnu. He is within, just like we are in the region of the heart, Jivatma, living entity, and there is Paramatma. Atma and Paramatma. That other level of transcendence. And those who are doing the yoga, if they're doing very good yoga, they're meditating, and they can meditate on the four-armed form of the Lord as Paramatma within their heart. Many they advocate doing the meditation and the yoga for understanding, yes, in the heart, but Brahman. I think is there is the Brahman. This is actually not the purpose of the meditation, but they are pushing like that. That can be one level. But the Lord within the heart, and then of course Bhagavan. Bhagavan, beyond the Brahman, beyond the Lord in the heart, there is another, beyond this world, beyond Brahman, there is another realm, spiritual realm, the Vaikuntha, and at the top is the Krishna, Krishna Lord. There is a very big area of the spiritual world which is very unlimited. And there must be Satchidananda. And there must be Bhava, there must be Prema, love. But divine love, not ordinary love. And so that exists. So love is not false. Those who are only Brahman, that love is, the bliss is there, and Ananda is there, but in Brahman. But the love is a foreign thing, that is just something of this world. So, but love exists in this world because actually it is a reflection of what is there in the spiritual world. So when Lord Chaitanya came, he came and he wanted to show all the different categories of the spiritual energy. Beyond Brahman, beyond Paramatma, there is Bhagavan, and in Bhagavan there are also different categories. So one verse from the I'm reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Panchatatmatmakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Surupakam Bhakta Vatara Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Very famous verse that Prabhupada would quote quite often. And here it is translated. Let me offer obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna, who has manifested himself in 5 as devotee, expansion of devotee, incarnation of devotee, pure devotee, and devotional energy. Now, here it is mentioned, Panchatattva, the 5. The 5 transcendental truths of the spiritual realm. This Lord Chaitanya wanted to show, because the impersonal was very popular, but he wanted to show more. And not just one energy, but there are many energies. Parasya Shakti Viviraya Sruyate, Prabhupada quotes this, I think here it is. Yeah. Parasya Shakti Viviraya Sruyate. That in the spiritual, there are many energies working in so many ways. Many energies, not just one energy. Many energies. So, to understand that, one needs to follow the proper path of the spiritual advancement. And so here it is said that the 5 main categories of the spiritual energy. There are subcategories, but the 5 main categories of the spiritual energy. And manifest by Lord Chaitanya. First there is Bhagavan, but Bhagavan comes as Lord Chaitanya, and here it is said Bhakta Rupa. Krishna has come again in the form of his devotee. And that the form of his devotee is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Krishna, but he has come, he wants to taste the love of Radha. There's one story, you can hear more, and the Gopurnima is coming up next month, or in March rather. And where one time Narada Muni was worried about the people of the Kali Yuga. He went to see Krishna in the spiritual realm, and he was with Rukmini and Dwarka. And so, actually, before he came there, Krishna had been away, and then when Krishna came back again to meet with Rukmini, when she saw him, she was crying. And then he asked, I thought you would be very happy to see me, but you are crying. Why are you crying? Oh, you do not know. These are the tears of love. Because I am missing you, I am feeling separation, I'm crying now, you've come back. Now I'm crying. These are the happy tears. These are the happy tears. So I am crying because of my love for you. Oh, and Krishna said, oh, this love, I know all things, but one thing, the love of my devotee for me, that I want to know that. I want to know that. And so Rukmini said that actually if you want to know, Radharani, she is the chief of the love for you. I have love, but your Srimati Radharani, she is the topmost of the love for you. So, so just at that time when they were talking, Narad Muni arrived there, and then Krishna and Rukmini, they went and greeted Narad Muni, and they actually touched his lotus feet and had him sit down, and they started worshipping him. There's Krishna, the Supreme Personality, Rukmini, worshipping Narad Muni, asked him how he was, everything all right. So then, of course, Krishna knows everything, but he was asking, you have come a long way. What is it that, is there any purpose to your coming? And Narad Muni said, yes, I'm very happy to see you, and you're a good Queen Rukmini, but I'm very concerned about the people of the Kali Yuga, how they'll attain the liberation. They are very engaged in sometimes many sinful activities. They'll be very entangled. So Krishna told him that just now I'm having conversation with Rukmini, and I want to taste the love that my devotee has for me, and especially Srimati Radharani. So in the future I will come in a form of combined Radha and Krishna and myself, and to taste the love that my devotee has for me. But just at that time, Krishna showed the form of Lord Chaitanya to Narad Muni, golden form. He is golden form, and Narad Muni was so overwhelmed by the beauty and the presence of Lord Chaitanya, he became unconscious in ecstasy. And then Krishna had to come as Lord Chaitanya and bring him back to the consciousness again. And so that form, he had never been seen before. And so he took the form, the golden color, because Radharani is golden color. Krishna is blackish color, and Radha is golden. So the form of Lord Chaitanya is golden. And not only that, but I was just reading the other week that Radha's color is like the molten gold color. You know, gold. One time Prabhupada said, you know why people are attracted to gold? And some disciple said, yeah, I think because it's a very valuable product. Yes, these things, yes. Someone said something, yes. But he said, actually they're attracted because of the luster. The luster of by the shining of the gold. Ooh, look at this. So, but when they melt the gold to make other things, then it becomes like white gold. Have you ever seen when it's melted? Or it is more, so much more effulgent. So Radharani's complexion is compared to the molten gold. So Lord Chaitanya's complexion is described like that. He has got a molten gold complexion. When people just saw him, and when Lord Chaitanya came to this world, he was very tall, 7 foot, just like Panchatattva in Mayapur, you see when you go to Mayapur. That size of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityan, that is actually the size. They did exactly to the size. And the hands, Lord Chaitanya's arms, it said Lord Chaitanya's arms went very long to his knees. When we stand, our arms don't go to the knees. But we're very lucky if we go to the waist. But Lord Chaitanya's arms went almost to the knees. Very long arms, beautiful feature. Every feature was good. Very wide chest. Very nice description of Lord Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita and other works. Chaitanya Bhagavad. Some of the nice description. Very nice wide chest, narrow waist, very nice. Every part of the body, lotus face, moon-like eyes, lips, very teeth, everything perfect. Now, beautiful hair when he was Nimai. He had beautiful hair. Very, very beautiful. Very tall, 7 foot tall. 7 foot tall. And so, everything beautiful. Perfect shape. V shape. When we go older, we get the A shape. But the V is the best. So Lord Chaitanya was like that. So, and molten gold. So anyone who saw him, his beauty, and then his effulgence. Not only from the complexion, but because everything, Brahman, everything was in within him. So Lord Chaitanya told Narada Muni, I will go and appear in the future, and I will be experiencing Radha's love for me. Also, he is experiencing his own loveliness and so many different aspects to his appearance. And so, this is, but he came as devotee, Chana Avatar. Chana Avatar means he covered. He didn't present himself as a Godhead. When anyone said, I think you are the God. No, Vishnu, he would cover his ears. No, Vishnu, only Vishnu. He would cover his ears. No, I am not the God. So he presented himself as devotee. So when we say Bhakta Rupa, the form of a devotee, although he is Krishna, Radha and Krishna combined. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Here Radha Krishna combined together. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only appeared 500 years before. So therefore, Bhakta Rupancha Tatmakam Krishna, Bhakta Rupa. He is in the form, God in the form of a devotee is one aspect of the spiritual energy. Then we have Swarupa. Swarupa means the immediate expansion from the Supreme Lord. That is Lord Nityananda. So who is Lord Nityananda here in the painting? In the blue. He is in the blue. He is also same, tall, very beautiful, also light, but he is more white, like the color of Balaram. Like Krishna, immediate expansion is Balaram, first expansion. Therefore, it is said Svarupa. Svarupa comes. The immediate form, immediate expansion, Balaram. First is Krishna, then Balaram next. On one side. So Balaram is whitish. So we see Lord Nityananda is more like whitish color. Lord Chaitanya more golden color in the complexion of Radharani. So this is the Swarupa. This is another aspect of a spiritual energy. One of the main categories, the first expansion, Balaram. And Balaram, he is very much, of course, assisting. He sees himself as serving Krishna in so many different ways to enhance his rasa and his lila and so many different things like that. And then on the other side, on the female side, the first expansion is Radha. Radha. So here, Bhakta Shakti comes. Bhakta Shakti, Bhakta Shakti, Radha. The energy of the Lord, especially the internal energy, is personified in Srimati Radharani. So you have one side Lord Nityananda, Swarupakam, Bhakta Shakti, on the other side is Gadadhar. Gadadhar, so first expansion one side, Lord Nityananda or Balaram. Other expansion, Gadadhar, means Radharani. So Radharani has come, even though Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna combined, but Radha has come separately also as Gadadhar. Now there's a lot of description of Gadadhar Pandit, that he is Radha again, but he's come in a little different mood that Radha is when she comes with Krishna, or when Radha is in the spiritual world. She's got a little bit different mood, a little bit different, more attitude. She's called what's called left-wing gopi. Left-wing gopi, right-wing gopi means the gopi, she's very subservient to Krishna. She's very respectful to Krishna. She's very sweet to him, just sweet words. She doesn't raise her voice. She's everything very sweet, right-wing gopi. Radharani is left-wing gopi. She's the chief of the left-wing gopis. And sometimes she's very sweet, but if Krishna does something that she doesn't like, she tells him. Sometimes she gets angry with Krishna. So she's more right-wing gopi. But of course, Krishna likes both. He likes the sweet, subservient, but also he likes someone who tells him. He likes that exchange. So he likes. But when Radha comes as Gadadhar Pandit, he comes as like manifesting right-wing mood, not left-wing. So when we read the Leela of when Gadadhar Pandit, he was a little bit younger than, especially in Nimai, he was there in Jagannath, in Navadvip, in Mayapur. He was there, we went to the same school as Nimai, I think 1 year younger. And then, but he was always very soft-spoken, very reserved, very gentle. when Nimai was sometimes doing some wild thing, he just kept distant. I'm not doing. I'm more reserved. I'm not doing like that. So, and sometimes he would tell Nimai that why you have to be so wild sometimes. You should be more respectful. So he was like that. But he nevertheless, Gadada was Radharani. And he had to take that mood, because if he was in the original mood of Radharani, left wing up, then Krishna, Lord Chaitanya couldn't fully take Radha's love, because it would have been a bit inhibitive. So therefore we have the Bhakti Shakti, and then Swarup, and then we have in white is Advaita Acarya. Advaita Acarya, he is called Bhakta Avatar. The avatar means the incarnation. He is the incarnation of Mahavishnu. So when the expansion is Balaram, but then as far as incarnation, all the incarnations come from this Mahavishnu. Of course, there's a little bit more technical information, but I won't get into that. But there are different stages of that. But so the first incarnation is Advaita Acarya, and Advaita Acarya actually, first incarnation is Mahavishnu, but Advaita Acarya, he is a combination of Shiva and Mahavishnu. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But so this is Advaita Acarya. So this is another aspect of the spiritual energy. You have Bhagavan, you have Radharani, internal energy. You have Balaram, who is Godhead. He is servant to Godhead, arranging everything for Krishna. Then you have incarnation. Now all these personalities here, you have Vishnu Tattva. Of course, Gadada had his own category. He has Bhakti Shakti Tattva, Ladini Shakti. And so all are God category. Understand? All is God category. Then you have Srivas. He is Jiva Tattva. He is a living entity like you and I. We are Jiva. We are Atma. The other one is God. They are in the God category. Rather Srivas on your right as you're looking, Lord Chaitanya's left, he is with the hands like this. He is an incarnation of Narada Muni. Narada Muni came again in the form of Srivas Thakur. And he is Jivatma, ordinary living entity. But not ordinary, but he is very exalted. But he is Jiva. So there you have, in these 5 personalities, you have all the spiritual truths. All the spiritual truths are there in these 5 personalities. Original Bhagavan, expansion Bhagavan, on the male side, on the female side, internal energy. You have incarnation, Advaita Acarya, and you have Jivatma. So Panchatattva means like that. So Prabhupada wanted to have that book before he thought, I won't translate, or maybe I won't live to translate Chaitanya Charitamrita. At least I'll explain a little bit about Panchatattva. Therefore we have in Sridham Mayapur Panchatattva. We have Lord Chaitanya, we have, when you go Mayapur, on the Radha Madhava altar, and we have Radha Madhava Asta Shaki, or the gopis, and then we have Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya. But on the other altar, Panchatattva. Here we have Gauranitai. And so everything is there in the spiritual world. It is all in these categories. So it's very, I thought I'd explain a little bit about that, about what is Panchatattva, because we are in the line of the Panchatattva. We are in the line of Lord Chaitanya. From Lord Chaitanya came his disciples, the Goswamis, and then many gurus are like that. Going to Lord Chaitanya, he had his associates and Panchatattva. So wherever we have altar, we have Gauranitai, we have Radha Krishna, sometimes we have Jagannath, and we have all the Lord Nrsingadev. We have Panchatattva picture. We always put Panchatattva. You see here, they have Panchatattva. And so here in the slide we are showing the Panchatattva. These are the 5 spiritual truths. The topmost spiritual realization is not just the one energy of the Brahman, that is one level, but beyond is more. As I said, Paramatma, Bhagavan, and Bhagavan has appeared in the 5 ways. Just to educate the people that in the spiritual life there are varieties. Now the Brahmanandi, they'll say the variety in this world are all illusions. We say, the Vaishnavas say, it is a type of illusion, but it has its reality in the spiritual. So it's like we have variety here, there's variety there, but in the perfection, in the spiritual, in eternal. So just because there's variety here in the material world doesn't mean that there must be no variety in the spiritual. That is wrong conclusion. There is variety, but just perfect variety. Here is variety, but imperfect, full of faults. So therefore, because full of faults, they come to the conclusion, oh, the spiritual must not mean variety, because full of faults. But spiritual must mean just no variety. But we are saying, yes, variety, but perfect variety, spiritual world. So Lord Chaitanya came in the 5 different personalities came to show the different perfections of the variety of the spiritual truth. And this is the meaning of Panchatattva. So I thought I'd speak a little bit about that. Now today, of course, is, as was mentioned, is the anniversary of the appearance of Advaita Acarya. Advaita Acarya, he is incarnation, and he appeared before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He appeared already by the time that Lord Chaitanya appeared as baby Nimai, they named one name, and he was 52 years old, Advaita Acarya. And there's a nice work, it's called Advaita Prakash, written by Ishan Nagara Thakur, and he has given a nice description. In Chaitanya Charitamrita there's nice descriptions of Chaitanya Bhagavat. So many works as description of Advaita Acarya also. But Ishan Thakur has given good insight into the story of how Advaita Acarya appeared. Now it is mentioned there by him that first of all, Lord Shiva, Mahadeva, 5-headed Lord Shiva. Now in this world, Lord Shiva is living in the Kailash. He is expansion of original Shiva. Original Shiva is beyond this world. He is just now, it is explained here. I'll try not to get too technical, please bear with me. In that there is this world. Now when Mahavishnu, he lies, and from him he creates a vast ocean called the causal ocean or the Karana Jal. And that Karana Jal, from his breathing, all the universes come. From his breathing, all the living entities are put. He expands himself as the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu goes everywhere, and the Chiradakshaya, he expands himself again. This is just briefly. So, Lord Shiva is existing beyond this realm, beyond the causal ocean. On the other side, he's known as Sadashiva. Sadashiva, Mahadeva. Sometimes we chant one bhajan. We go Brahma Bole Chaturmukhe Krishna Krishna Hari Hari, Mahadeva Panchamukhe Rama Rama Hari Hari. That means that Lord Brahma with his 4 heads, he is chanting Krishna Krishna Hari Hari, and Mahadeva, Lord Shiva, with sometimes manifesting 5 heads, he's chanting Rama Rama Hari Hari. So Mahadeva, that Mahadeva beyond this world, that Lord Shiva beyond this world, who lives in the spiritual realm, the original Lord Shiva, he has his own category of spiritual. He's a Shiva Shakti, Shiva Tattva. He has his own category. He is eternal personality. He's a great personality. And he was concerned about the coming of the Kali Yuga on the earth. So he's talking to his wife, and he was very concerned, and he also had talked with the Yogamaya, and what will become of the living entity in the Kali Yuga? They will suffer greatly, how they will get the salvation. So Yogamaya thought that why don't you pray to the Lord, the Mahavishnu, he is the creator of everything. So he went to the edge of the causal ocean and he sat in the meditation, as I actually mentioned. He sat in the meditation for 700 years. And he was meditating on the Mahavishnu. And after some time, and he's sitting, meditating, tapasya, Mahavishnu appeared and he was very happy. He said that, you're meditating on me, but actually we are like the same personality, but just different bodies. We are to have the different function, but we are on the absolute level. I'm very happy. I know you're concerned about the living entities, so we have to do something. So at that time, Mahavishnu embraced Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva embraced Mahavishnu, and their bodies merged into one. Their bodies merged into one, and that one form became also a very golden form, and that form actually later descended to the world and became Advaita Acarya. That form became Advaita Acarya. So that form of Advaita Acarya is the combination of Vishnu, Mahavishnu, original Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Harihara. Harihara. When you go to Mayapur, if you ever go on the pilgrimage, there's one temple there, there's one deity, one side is Hari, other side is Hara. One side Hari, and the other side in one deity, one is Vishnu, one is Shiva, together. That is called Harihara. So that Harihara combined, Vishnu and Shiva combined together became Advaita Acarya. And that Advaita Acarya came into this world. Now he came into this world, as I said, before Lord Chaitanya, and he came as the son of Kuvera Acharya. And his wife was named Labha Devi. He was Brahmana Pandit. Kuvera Acharya was a Pandit, and he was the Pandit for the king. He was in the royal palace as the palace Pandit. And so he was the father. And before Advaita Acarya appeared, Kuvera and Labha Devi had many children, but they passed away on the birth. So one time they went to the Shantipur area, by the Ganga, and they were doing some tapasya there and some chanting, everything. And she became pregnant again. When she became pregnant, she had a dream. Actually, before she had a dream. In that dream, the Lord appeared to her and said that I am descending to take birth from your womb. She said like that. She was very, when she, and that dream she had just before she woke up. It is said that when you have a dream that just before you wake up, they come true. That's one saying like that. But anyway, she told her husband, and they were very happy that the Lord had manifested and said that I'm going to appear in your womb. And so when then they went back again to the palace, and they told the king, and the king was very happy. Oh, that is very good news that now, after so many children have passed away on the birth, but now she's pregnant again, and don't lament anymore about the past children. Now you can be very happy. Just at exactly that time when they were talking, one astrologer came. They didn't even know who he was. He came in and he just sat with them, and he was looking and he was looking, and then he said, I can see from within you, you are pregnant, and that personality within you is a very divine personality. And then he will live a long life, because he knew that the other children would passed away after the birth. So he will live a long life, and he will be a great exponent and preacher of divine love and transcendental love of God. He will preach the Krishna consciousness everywhere. So, of course, they were very happy. And then they were talking, very enjoyed. The king was very happy. Everyone was very happy that this child, he will live a long life also, and he will be divine personality. And so, when they looked again, that astrologer gone. Even the king, where he went? And he sent someone, look for him, bring him, we want to thank him. I couldn't find him. He just disappeared. Very mystical thing. He came all of a sudden, no one even knew. There were many astrologers of the king. No one even knew who he was. Who is this one? They said something, and then disappeared, and left. So everyone was rejoicing. In due course of time, she gave birth to a very wonderful child. He was very effulgent. So this is a little bit about the birth of Advaita Acarya. Advaita Acarya. Later on, when he took the birth, he was so beautiful and golden, everyone was enamored with him. And everyone was very enamored with him. And while Labadevi was holding the small boy in her lap, she was saying that, you know, here we don't get good water. And nor, you know, we don't get regular supply of water. There is no river nearby, and there is no holy river nearby. And Advaita, he was known as Kamalakshan. He wasn't known as Advaita then, but he was known as Kamalakshan. And he said that I will bring water, regular water here. Not only that, I will bring the holy water here regularly. So he chanted one prayer, and all of a sudden, many personalities appeared before Labadevi, and they were actually the personification of all the holy rivers. All the holy rivers came in front of her, and then they spoke to Kamalaksha, and they said, yes, you have called us. What is it that how can we serve you? He said, I want that you come here and you come by this place continuously. But then they said that if we come here, then what about all the other places? Many pilgrims go for bathing in our waters to get purified. That Kamalaksha said that you just think how to do both. I'll leave it to you. You can be there and you can be here also. And so what happened was they thought about, and they came on top of the, nearby was one hill. They came on top of the hill and they flowed down like a waterfall. And continuously there was the water there. They never had continuous water. They had to wait for the rain. And now it was continuously, and not only that, it was the holy water. So many people were very astounded how this wonderful thing could happen. So this is another story of even the childhood of Advaita Acarya, even the childhood. So later on it is said, of course, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu come again, Shiva come again. So, but he went to the school. He went to the school. All the incarnations they show by example. Krishna went to the school. Ram went to the school. They took the guru. They learned from the guru. So Advaita Acarya was like that. He went to the school. The Torah of the school. Everything he was like Shruti Dara. Everything he heard just once he would immediately remember. He learned everything. His father was a Pandit, of course. There's another story that one time in the court, his father was having conversation with the king and others, and there was one deity of Kali there, and they were saying that how all the devas have to be worshipped, God has to be worshipped, all the devas have to be worshipped. Then his son, Advaita, made argument. They said, actually, if you just worship the one supreme God, all others are his servants. And then if you worship one supreme, no need to worship the others, because by worshipping the one God, all others are satisfied. They are very pleased. So then his father was saying that, yes, but still you should worship the others. You worship the Supreme and you worship the Devas as well. So Advaita was arguing the point. But then at some point he stopped. He said, I shouldn't argue against my father. He's my father. He's a Pandit. So he took a submissive position. So then he said, all right, I agree. I will bow down and offer respect to Kali. But when he bowed down to Kali, all of a sudden the deity broke into pieces. Because the deity came out, Kali came out, she didn't like that her master paid obeisance to her. So she said like that to him, you are my master, but you are bowing down and you are touching my feet. I'm very embarrassed. And she came out from the deity was broken and she spoke. So everyone was very amazed. Who is this? Who is this? My son? Who is this? Must be some very great personality. They didn't know exactly. They were very shocked. But there's other stories like that with Kali. And so Advaita is a very great personality. Later on, he went to the school of one. He went to the Shantipur again, back to by the Ganga. And he went to one school, a Brahmin Pandit, and he learned in the school. and he just learned everything very nicely. And one time they went to the Ganga, and in the side of the Ganga there was one small area of the river. It was like a small lake area, and in there was one big gigantic lotus flower that used to permeate the whole area with a beautiful scent. But to go there were many snakes in the water, and also many thorny plants with very big thorns. So many people wanted to get that lotus flower, but they couldn't go there. So then he said to, the teacher said to Advaita, he said to all the students, who can get that lotus flower from the lake? And so no one answered because they know there's snakes in there. Maybe there's some crocodile in there, and all the thorns, everything. But Advaita immediately stood up, he said, I will get it. So the teacher said, I am just saying like that. Don't boast vainly that you will get it. It's a very dangerous thing. But before he could even finish, Advaita just jumped. And he was jumping on all the different flowers in the area. And he just jumped. Normally someone would go in the water. But he was just jumping on top, like very mysterious, mystic thing. And he was jumping, and he went all the way to that lotus flower, and he picked it. And then he jumped back and he gave it to the Guru. How you did like that? A mystical power. Then when you become very surrendered to the God, then you can do many things. He said. Another story like that. So there's so many different stories. Later on, as he grew older, his parents were already old. They came to him and they said that we are old now. We've already passed 90 years of age. And Kuvera, his father, said, I've seen one vision that God will send one flower aeroplane for us and to go back to the Vaikuntha. So when that happens, you go to the Gaia and you do the oblations there, do all the rituals for our soul, and worship Vishnu, do everything like that. So and then of course the parents left their body, and Advaita, he was the only son, and so he went to Gaia. He did like that. Then he went on pilgrimage on all the holy places of India. Ishan Thakur gives very good description. Just like Lord Chaitanya actually, Lord Nityananda before. Advaita before then, he went to the south, he went to Jagannath Puri, he went Vishnu Kanchi, Shiva Kanchi, as you go down, Rameshwaram, Kanyakumari, he went to Madurai, he went all the places like that, and then he came back up on the west side. Then he came across, he went to the Badrinath, he came to Haridwar like that, and then he came back to Mathura, Vrindavan. There's one whole story, I won't get into too many stories. There's many stories of Advaita Acharya. When he was in Vrindavan, he was sitting and he had a dream that Krishna came to him in a dream. There's one, I am here in the deity form, buried nearby here. I hid myself because the mlechas were coming, they wanted to break me. So I hid myself, and I'm in this spot. You go there and you dig and you bring me out and you install me and worship me again. My name is Madan Gopal. So he took some villages, they went there and they brought the deer. And they made one place and one temple, and so Advaita Acharya started that worship in that area. Later on, one day the Pujari came, Krishna hid himself again. And in a dream he came to Advaita, he said, I've hidden myself again because again the mlechas are coming, want to break me. So I have inspired one Brahmana from Mathura, his name is Chobe, to come and you give me to him, he will take me to Mathura. So he took the deity, Madan Gopal, and his name actually was Madan Mohan, and but I can be known as Madan Gopal. And that Brahmana in Mathura looked after him. Later on, Sanatana Goswami had a dream that you go and take me from there and you bring me back to Vrindavan. And I will be called again my original name, Madan Mohan. So when you go to Vrindavan, there's Sanatana Goswami made that big temple, Madan Mohan temple. Of course, again, the deity was moved. So, but Advaita Acharya, he was the first one to install that deity, Madan Mohan. Very interesting. So many stories of Advaita Acharya. So today is the anniversary of the appearance of Advaita Acharya. We know later on how he was calling for Lord Chaitanya. He was with Haridas Thakur, he was worshipping the Ganga with Tulsi, and he called Lord Chaitanya to come and save the people of the Kali Yuga. So today, a very auspicious day of the appearance of Lord Advaita Acharya ki Jai. Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
So I went a little bit longer than usual. Sorry, talking so long. Maybe we've got a few minutes. If anyone wants to make any comment or ask some questions, please feel free to do so. If you want to ask anything about Advaita Acharya or about Panchatattva or about anything spiritual philosophy, feel free to ask. I'll let you think about it for a few moments.
Maharaj,
yes.
Thank you very much for the nice class. I have a question. So can you just please, if you can re-explain the mood of Srimati Radharani when she came as Gadadhar Pandit, please? If you can re-explain that.
Explain about Srimati Radharani.
Yeah, when she came in as Gadadhar Pandit, the mood of Srimati Radharani. You mentioned she had a right-wing mood. Are you able to explain a little bit further on that, please?
Yes. Well, now, as I said, Srimati Radharani came in the form of Sri Gadadhar. There's actually no difference between Radharani and Gadadhar, as I explained. But the activities of Radharani in the Krishna Lila are different from Radharani as Gadadhar Pandit in the Gora. I'm just going over again what I said, but in the Gora Lila, she's more in the mood of the servant. Servitor, very respectful. The mood is different. She is Radha, and the mood had to be different because Radharani didn't want to inhibit Krishna from tasting Radharani's love for him in her traditional way, in the left wing gopi. So she didn't want to inhibit that. So the mood is different, and it said no gopi, including Chandravali, Lalita, Vishaka, can experience Radharani's what's called Maranatya Mahabhava. There's a special mood that Srimati Radharani has, that even other very, very elevated gopis, there's especially just Radharani's mood. And so that particular mood that Krishna wanted to experience, this mood of Radharani. So that mood, that particular Maranatya Mahabhava, that was covered in Gadadhar Pandit. It was not manifesting because he wanted Lord Krishna to enjoy it within himself and when Radha combined with him. So Gadadhar Pandit, he comes as Radha wanting to serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's always chanting Krishna Prananata. Krishna is the love of my life. He is my heart. And when Gadadhar Pandit was growing up, as I said, with Nimai, he was just a little bit younger. When later on, when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, Gadadhar, and he went to Jagannath Puri, Gadadhar couldn't bear to be separated. So he also went to Jagannath. And when you go to Jagannath Puri, you can go to that temple of Tota Gopinath, where Gadadhar Pandit was worshipping the form of Krishna, Tota Gopinath. So there's a whole story there of Gadadhar Pandit worshipping the Lord. And that deity of Gopinath, actually one time Lord Chaitanya was with Gadadhar Pandit, and they were in one area, beautiful area, and then all of a sudden Lord Chaitanya was crying out, Krishna, Krishna, Gopinath, where is the Lord of the gopis, where is he? He was tearing at his heart, and he started tearing on the ground, and he dug, and after something they saw one head there. One head, and they dug more, and there was the deity of Gopinath. When you go there, all these stories can be told. When you go to Jagannath-puri, you do a tour of all the places, this story is told. In that area, that area, and so he was named Tota Gopinath. And actually, Lord Chaitanya brought him out, and he held him to the heart. He said, he's Krishna, the Lord of my heart. And so, he asked that Gadadhar worship this Gopinatha. And so the temple was established. Later on, when Gadadhar, after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya left this world at 48 years of age. So not so old. And Gadadhar was 1 year younger, just 47. But it is said that when Lord Chaitanya left, Gadadhar immediately became like an old man. He became very old. He could hardly walk. He couldn't stand up even. He was so much missing Lord Chaitanya that he was still worshipping the deity, but he had difficulty. So it is said at that time the deity sat down. Before he was standing, and the deity sat cross-legged, so then he would be lower, that Gadadhar could continue to worship him. There's one story like that. That's why when you go to Tota Gopinath temple, you'll see that Krishna is sitting. That is to help Gadadhar Pandit do the worship. So Gadadhar Pandit was Radharani, but was playing a different type of part than Radha plays in the Krishna Lila. So we could talk more on Gadadhar Pandit, but just briefly. This is a different mood, not same mood, but still Radharani.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for listening to our class tonight. And all glories to Advaita Acarya. So next we can say.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, for explaining the 5 eternal transcendental truths, as well as some stories about Advaita Acarya. I'm sure some devotees have heard the stories that they haven't heard before. I know I certainly did, so thank you very much for those. Devotees, to thank Maharaj, let's loudly chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one more time.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Maharaj, and please.
Ramai Maharaj ki
Jai.